Hey folks, figured I'd do another video on my Jeep. I'm taking some time tonight to do some more work on it, figure out a few things and maybe get a couple bits and pieces built. That's what I'm going to try to do tonight. Well, as you can see, I got the shocks mounted. Makes the ride height kind of high, so I'm going, and you can see they're kind of, I don't know if you can see in the video, but they kind of tilt in at an angle a bit, so I'm going to have to tweak that a little bit, but that's minor. I've actually got an idea on how to take care of both instances. I don't know if I'm going to, I'll probably take the springs out so I can get some droop, or get them to sit down a little bit more, but shocks are actually probably a little long for this project, but I really want to make them work. The other problem that I have, that I mentioned in the previous video, is no room for any sort of 4-link, and a 3-link would be tight too. So what I've decided I'm going to try to do, just like in the 1-to-1s, I'm going to do a radius arm setup with a track bar or panad bar, whatever you want to call it, and I think that's going to work out good. Tricky thing's going to be making the radius arm, but I'm pretty sure I got an idea what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can get this to sit straight. Hopefully there's enough light here. You can see these two holes here. I'll have to take a tape measure and see, but I'm pretty sure they're equal distance inwards, which is what I'll need. Looking based on the pinion, I think they are, but what I'm going to do, let's put it on its side or even upside down. Yeah, upside down is not going to work. Let's see, is I'm going to make a link that attaches at this point, comes at an angle, and it hooks up to the lower link, and that'll keep this from rotating. That's what our radius arm setup is, and then the track bar will hold the axle from going side to side. So got a few materials. Don't know if I'll need any of that tonight, but found this at the local hardware store. Don't have a hobby shop, but thinking this little channel aluminum, see on this side a little bit better, might come in handy for making mounts and so on, because that spacing looks fairly close. Let's see if we can tell from here, to allow to put linkages and whatnot in between there. You drill your hole through and can double shear mount, but in case it wasn't the right size, or if I want small, I got some wider stuff as well. You can see the difference. It's actually meant, I think, for edging on plywood. This is for 1/4 inch plywood, or sorry, 3/8 or something like that, and this is for 1/2 inch to go along the edge. Also got some aluminum angle. That's interesting because one angle is longer than the other, or one side's longer than the other, so it might come in useful. I didn't have necessarily a specific use for it, just figured I'd buy it. And then I got some just some brake line, some 1/4 inch, or sorry, 3/16, and I think this is 1/4 inch if I want to braze something up. Well, let's try building this radius arm setup tonight. Well, I think I've come up with a radius arm kind of setup that should work okay. It's going to take a little bit of tricky drilling and tapping, but I think it might work out okay. Found these links in my parts bin. I'm not sure what they came from. I think they came from a TLT, or I had bought them. You can see I have things tie wrapped on, but I've mounted the links up here, and you can see some spacing in there, which will allow some adjustability, because I've got a fairly long grub screw, or whatever you want to call it, threaded piece in there. So I'll put a jam nut on there, just like the full-size links have. And then on this side, this is where it's going to be tricky, and I'm worried that I might weaken the tubes too much, but I'm going to probably grind a small flat right around where this rod end is, grind a small flat, and then use my drill press to drill a hole into the side of the tube. I'm not sure, I think these are hollow all the way through, so that shouldn't be too bad. I'll drill a hole and then I'll tap it for a 3 mil screw or shaft like this, and that'll allow me to thread this in, Loctite it good, and then mount the other rod end in there. And then to get my pinion angle, I'll have some adjustability here. So you make it short, it tilts the pinion down, or you lengthen it and it'll tilt the pinion up. I can kind of show you just by sliding the tire up. See the pinion tilted up, and then can tilt it down. And then I'll just have to figure out my track bar. But the thing I'm worried about then is those links are so high, might cause some clearance, because the track bar I was going to mount to here and come up. So I may actually take these posts down some, and then that'll give me a little more clearance. So maybe I should actually do that before I do anything else, so I know that these ends are right. I'll cut those down and take another look. Well, I think my plan may work. You can see here I got the rod, I ground it a little bit, and then I used my drill press to drill a hole in it. And now I'm just going to see if I can tap it. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this. And hold the camera. I didn't have any taps, only had tapers. So what I did was ground the tip, or else the pointy end ends up bottoming out before you get all the way in. So let's just see if I can get this. I already started it, so I'm hoping this is going to work. Even if it's a little bit sloppy, what I'll probably end up doing, once I know my setup is going to work, is I'll probably epoxy or even maybe some JB weld. Use some JB weld and then thread the little threaded rod in so that it stays nice and secure. So it's going to be a little bit of force on her. There we go. Just gonna blow it out, and now take one of these, and sorry, I wasn't looking at the viewfinder. See if it's going to thread in. This one's a little long, but for the purpose of this mock-up, it'll do. Grab my wrong one. Yeah, it's the wrong one. Grab this, and look at that. I know lots of people have done these JKs on the forums, but I haven't seen one with a radius arm set up in the front, so looks like it's even in pretty straight. Only thing that helped was being that this rod is bent. It allowed me to lay it flat on the drill press table. So one down, one to go. Well, there we go. Got both threaded in and the rods hooked up. I lowered these posts. I used my calipers to make sure I got them really close to the same length. And now he's not too fond of the size of those nuts. They're kind of big, but I've got some small, long, non-locking nuts, a little bit narrower. It might look a little bit better. I guess you can only get so scale on a setup like this. Just gonna bolt it into the Jeep now and see how it works. Well, got bolted in, and I have to say, looks like it'll work out okay. Now I don't have the jam nuts or anything on yet, so there is an issue. These rods can really flop back and forth a lot between these ends not being tight and not having a jam nut on there. So I think what I'll end up doing is, once I get everything mocked up, I'll have to make sure and get all these tight, which will mean adjusting the threads in and out a little bit so these eyelets line up just right when the thing is tight. And then get these jam nuts on, tighten this side up good, get these jam nuts on, and that'll do her. Now the next next step is to figure out how I'm going to put a track bar on this thing. I'll probably have to put a bracket on here, raise it up a bit so that the track bar mount comes up here, and then it'll just come across to a hole in there. But before I do that, I'm going to take this steering rod off on this end and move it to this end and get my servo mounted so I can have my chassis mounted servo. The drag link coming down, sorry, it's not the, this is the drag link, can't remember what they call that, but come down to here because you want your track bar, your panhard bar, to be as parallel with your steering linkage so it doesn't cause too much bump steer. Now I know in a unit like this it doesn't, bump steer is not going to matter that much, but regardless, if you're going to do it, you might as well try to do it right. I'm not sure if I'm going to try to do the track bar tonight or not, but in any case, I will keep you posted. Talk to you later.